Hello, my name is Claude White, and this is a very special Pittsburgh Steelers report. And if you haven't been under a rock, you already know that Antonio Brown's career with the Pittsburgh Steelers is over. Now, me personally, I feel that Big Ben Roethlisberger's career should be over as well, but I digress. Right now, I am going to focus on number 84, and in my opinion, the fourth best wide receiver in Pittsburgh Steelers history. The other three guys, two of them are Hall of Famers. The third one, he might go. I know he's at least borderline, but I would still take him over Antonio Brown. And those guys are Lynn Swann, John Stallworth, and yes, Hines Ward. But now I'm actually going to talk about what is the next destination for Antonio Brown. Now, I have about 5 teams, my top 5 teams, and I will start with the number 5 team, and there's no real particular order, but these are the 5 teams that I feel would most benefit from Antonio Brown being with those particular franchises. And I tell you what, let's start with an unlikely place, and let's stay now, mind you, the Pittsburgh Steelers would never trade him here because you know they would never trade him in the division. So, and you know what? I'll just put them as honorable mention. They're not going to be part of the top 5. But it would be really funny if he ended up with the Cleveland Browns somehow and playing with Baker Mayfield, and they'd have to see Antonio Brown twice a season. But I don't think that's going to happen. But I will start with my number 5 team, and that would be the Green Bay Packers, who have not had a bona fide number 1 receiver, you could argue, since Sterling Sharp back in the mid-90s. I mean, they've had a couple of guys. They've had Brooks a couple of times, Antonio Freeman, Greg Jennings. I mean, but they haven't had a airtight number 1 bona fide receiver. And that's something that Aaron Rodgers has really never had as well. I mean, he's had a decent rapport with guys like Randall Cobb, Jordy Nelson, but those guys were more like number 2s and number 3s. They weren't really pure number 1 receivers, and that's something that Antonio Brown, we know, clearly is. It would be very interesting if he went to play for the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. Now, I don't think that this would happen. I mean, as I mentioned, they're my number 5 pick, meaning they have like the least chance, but I think that would be a very good destination for Antonio Brown. Now, the number 4 destination, in my opinion, and listen, I hate this team with a passion, but it would make sense for the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, the Dallas Cowboys to have Antonio Brown. Now, would the Steelers do business with the Cowboys? I don't think so myself. I wouldn't trade Antonio Brown there, but I could see if you could get like a Tevin Smith, but I doubt that they would part with him for Antonio Brown. If anything, they would try and lowball you and give you a 2nd or 3rd round pick for Antonio. But Antonio Brown would fit very well with Dak and Zeke. They already have Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper is more of a 1A and a number 2 receiver, but we know Antonio Brown is a clear number 1 receiver, and they would make the Dallas Cowboys probably a top 5 high-powered offense in the NFL if he went to that sorry-ass Cowboy Nation. I hope he doesn't, but I digress. Now, the number 3 pick for me, as far as a great spot for Antonio Brown, the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson. They already had the best running options in the NFL. Now, they don't have the best running back, but they did have the number 1 rushing offense in the league. And having Antonio Brown there, I mean, could you imagine the play action, which you have to honor? Now, as far as I'm concerned, Russell Wilson is a championship-style quarterback. He's already got 1 title. He should have won a 2nd if they had just ran Marshawn Lynch, as we know. But already with Doug Baldwin and those guys, could you imagine Antonio Brown and Doug Baldwin, same team. I mean, that's a 1 and 1A if there has ever been. And I like that place for Antonio Brown. I could see the Steelers doing business with the Seattle Seahawks, probably getting a number 1 or a number 2 for that. I could see them doing that. Now, the number 2 spot, in my opinion, for Antonio Brown, and let me tell you something, it's not as far-fetched as people think it is. It's the New York Jets. Yeah, I said it. The New York Jets. Now, you talk about a perfect setup for a young quarterback. Let me tell you, they have enough money to get Le'Veon Bell as a free agent. Could you imagine they sign Le'Veon Bell as a free agent and have an Antonio Brown outside? It would almost be Steelers East Coast. It would be like skyscraper Steelers, so to speak. But that would be a perfect thing for Sam Darnold as a second-year guy. You could see him taking the quantum leap. It would help out the Jet defense, which needs help. And I tell you what, that would be a wonderful thing for the New York Jet franchise. It would, and I think that they would sincerely challenge the New England Patriots for the top spot in the AFC East, something we haven't seen in quite a long time. But, in my opinion, the number 1 destination for Antonio Brown would be the Indianapolis Colts. Now, with the Steelers dealing within the AFC, I don't think that they feel that Indianapolis is a threat to them. I really don't. And I venture to think that the Pittsburgh Steelers might feel that they've taken 2 steps back by not having Bell and Brown. Now, it could work the other way as well. It could be addition by subtraction. We know the locker room antics of Antonio Brown. Now, I'm not going to say the same about Le'Veon Bell. I think that was more the other way around. The other people in the locker room were hating on Le'Veon Bell, but I digress. And a lot of that has to do with the front office and the way Mike Tomlin handled or didn't handle the situation. But I do believe that Andrew Luck would benefit so much from having an Antonio Brown, T.Y. Hilton, Jack Doyle at the tight end. You see the running back, Mack. I mean, that is a formidable team. And trust me, the Colts would be well on their way to a Super Bowl having a guy like Antonio Brown. At least that would be the feeling in Indianapolis. Now, obviously, they would still have to get past Kansas City and other teams of that ilk. Obviously, the New England Patriots, as long as they have Belichick and Brady. But it would give them certainly a leg up on the competition if they were to sign the great Antonio Brown. Now, those are my 5 places, my top 5 places for Antonio Brown. If you have any questions or comments, or if you have a top 5, please put them in the comments section. My name is Claude White. Take care and God bless.